Drona and welcome to Retrospectives. The next art piece in the tour is the painting Ctrl+V, painted in the summer of 2018. It's 100 centimeters by 100 centimeters and it is acrylic painting on canvas. I painted this while participating in a artist in residence program in Sevilla, Spain. It was an all-women's art residency, and while there I completed the triptych, The Power of the Clique. The Power of the Clique looks at the online treatment of women's bodies and looks at if those actions taken on women's bodies in the online world also have influence on the treatment of women's bodies in the real world. I looked at our online actions through the scope of the clique, and I asked the question, what if the clique could be seen as a touch? This would inevitably look at questions of consent and the use and treatment of the feminine image as a means to an end, whether that end be to sell a product or to compel someone to click on an image. In the triptych, The Power of the Clique, I depicted our online actions through this shape here. This represents the clique. It's an action or an impact that causes waves within the digital world. Waves which represent potential consequences or implications which are impossible to completely understand. Common traits found in the triptych, The Power of the Clique, are the use of the grayscale, which represents the transient nature of the digital world. You'll also find a frame composed of bodies, arms which confine the image into its space. This represents the scope through which we view the world, through our bodies, through the color of our skin, who we decide to share our bodies with through sexual preference, or whether we are on the binary of female or male, or perhaps outside of it. We are confined by these ideas of the body, and the frame around the image represents that. This frame is also a callback to classical art, the framing of a religious triptych. Another common trait is the depiction of women's bodies without a head. This highlights the feeling of dehumanization or objectification of women's bodies, which we use as a means to an end, as I mentioned previously. Another common trait are these icons, whom I call drones, and who represent the digital or virtual masses. I chose the title Ctrl+V because this is the command to paste. Therefore, this idea of reproduction. In the painting Ctrl+V, you'll find the positioning of the woman's body lying down. She creates a landscape or a field on which the masses can play or fight their wars on. Here you'll see that the clique is depicted all over her body in the form of attacks. The digital masses can be seen as two troops, one side coming from her and another one going towards her. They confront each other and they're waiting, deciding who will deploy the first attack. With Ctrl+V, I wanted to express this idea of women's bodies as a battlefield. However, I also wanted to look at this idea of the world being obsessed with women's images. The idea that we come from women's bodies, we are birthed from them. However, we constantly gaze upon them, stare at them with perhaps this desire to go back to them. In this painting, women's bodies are spirits which encompass everything. They are the unknown from which we come, yet where we will return again. Thank you for discovering a little bit more about my painting Ctrl+V. Until next time, peace, love, and art.